Introducing the scariest robot on Earth, Sir Kilowatt. I've not gone mad, I promise. I've not gone mad. More will be revealed shortly about why I did that. I think it was a good introduction. Stay tuned. Welcome. We start with Bob Bit. On the screen in front of you is a zoomed in shot of a house robot. We're on the theme of house robots, and the answers will be revealed very soon. Now, we do go on to our second semi-final fight of our fantasy fight, which of course is Razor and Chaos 2. Now, really, you can see they are up here, but I should have planned this a little better because this has already happened. It's not really a fantasy fight. Now, Razor against Chaos 2, they fought each other twice. Once in the First World Championship, the other in Extreme 2 All-Stars. And Razor was successful in both, really. Now, I could change it up and say, Chaos 2 is going to win this. Because Razor breaks down. Nothing's stopping me doing that. However, I don't think so. Razor would win this. So Razor is going to go through to the grand final of the heat. But, because it's not really a fantasy fight, I'm going to take one from SCR and Roblo X. Sorry if I've got that wrong, I do apologise. Thank you for your fantasy fight, which is, what is it going to be between Kilohertz from Series 2, S3 from Series 5 and 6, Steel Avenger from Series 3, or Chronic the Wedgehog from Series 4. Good variety here of machines, weapons. I like your choice. Okay, I'm going to announce the winner now. It is simply going to be S3. And this is why. Kilohertz, very primitive in Series 2. The axe wouldn't do much to any of the other robots. Same with Steel Avenger, the Series 3 version. Very slow. Obviously it did progress, didn't it, in time. Series 7 version of Steel Avenger was quite something. It was better certainly than Series 3. Again, very primitive. And Chronic the Wedgehog, yes, it did get through to the heat final. Maybe the underdog and could potentially come second in this fight. But because of S3's devastating power of the vertical flywheel, would annihilate all competitors. So thank you for your fantasy fight. But Razor is through to the fantasy fight final. As we move on to fighting talk. Okay, so there is Kilowatt. Obviously doing a bit of an introduction to Sir Kilowatt just before. Our fighting talk this time, I was trying to compensate really because they never had a house robot introduction for Series 7. Okay? Why? Now why was this? Now for me, I've mentioned quite a few times in the past that Series 7 was rushed. It felt a little bit of an afterthought. Not much care and attention to detail went into the series. And the fact that they didn't have an official house robot introduction just adds to my negatives for Series 7. All they did for Series 7 was introduce the new house robot Cassius Chrome in a usual, and on the arena is Cassius Chrome, a new one for you. There was nothing official. I don't know why there was no introduction for Series 7. All I can think of is that the time, it was time consuming for the fact that they were on Channel 5 and there was ad breaks. That's the only real reason I can think of for not introducing the house robot lineup. Now, as we know, through Series 1 to 6, there was a house robot introduction. Which one was my favourite? Let's walk through them, shall we? Series 1 introduced them in a kind of a cage. They were against a backdrop of black, and then the voice, Matilda, Dead Metal Shunt, roared on. They weren't in the arena for the intros for this one. Then Series 2, it was exactly the same, but then Craig Charles came on to the arena and introduced Sir Kilowatt, which of course he then did again for the third series. Again, I think as the series went on, the house robot introductions did get better. Series 4, of course. And then Series 6, it was very fast-paced, wasn't it? The introduction of the house robots. And of course, the introduction of Mr. Psycho and Growler. So there we go. Why they didn't have an intro for Series 7, I'll never know. Now, just a question from Gabriel Catalano, who commented a while back now. It's relating to the house robots. Do I know where the original house robots are? All I can say to you there, Gabriel, is that just doing a bit of digging online, that Robo Challenge do still have the rights to the house robots, and they are stored away somewhere in a warehouse, and here is a picture of them. That is all I know. They are the original house robots there. Why there was no house robot introduction in Series 7, I'll never know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. You might realise that I've not actually picked a grand final best battle. But for this one, I think, and going back to Series 7 here, I have pointed out a lot of negatives in the past, but one of the highlights for me, yes, even though it was maybe a tad controversial, is the grand final of Series 7 between Typhoon 2 and Storm 2. It was drama. It was the most dramatic final of the original run. They had to stop the fight, didn't they? Because Typhoon kept on smashing into the fence. Jane Middlemiss was on the arena. In the action. They never did that before this, with the presenter actually being in front of the fight as it happened. It lasted the whole 3 minutes. It did go to that judge's decision, and of course Storm losing because of the damage inflicted from Typhoon 2. Without doubt the best grand final of the original one, because if you look back, let's look back at each one. Series 1 grand final, it was fine. It was 6 in an arena, but it was quite slow because the robots weren't quite there yet. Series 2 shouldn't have been a pit on. Cassia should have easily won that. Series 3 was just over too quickly. Chaos 2 flipped and hit with this. That was it. It was over. Quite anticlimactic. It was still okay. Not saying it wasn't. Series 4 for me was probably the second best grand final fight between Pussycat and Chaos 2. Series 5 was quite underwhelming because of the damage inflicted from Hypnodisc onto Bigger Brother. Razor had that in the bag going in. And Series 6, of course, with the controversial frame around Tornado. It was a fair fight, yes, but Razor should have really won that. So there you go. That is now added to our final tally. Behind me there on the screen, you can see all top 10 battles are there, but the question is, and we will be reviewing this in the next episode of Reactivated, out of those 10, which one is the top? Take your pick as we move on to merchandise memories. We just very briefly are going to look at the 8th edition of the Robot Wars magazine, and I'll tell you why. I wasn't going to, but because I realised what was on the front cover for the next edition, I thought that it's quite fitting for what I'm about to say, because obviously we have been talking about the house robots in this episode. Their introduction, of course, and now on the back of, I have the question here, from SCP Zilla, if I could design my own house robot, what weapon would I have and what name would it be? And the theme of the house robot. Check out Reactivated episode 5, where I do go into that. But for this one, I think it was quite fitting that the Robot Wars magazine actually made their own ultimate house robot, and this is it. And they did call it Red Baron. And it has a mixture of all the house robots combined. At the time, of course, wouldn't it have been great to see the Red Baron in the arena? Now they also did, just the next page over, the Unstoppable now meets, I can't even pronounce it, Trazodortic. There we go, Trazodortic, the ultimate competitor house robot. I got there in the end. And also they have the unbelievable worst ever robot, which comprises of Destructor Bubble, Scorpion, the Creature, Banshee and Wheelosaurus. It was the last edition to also have an actual photo, because from now on the front covers were dominated with graphic design and drawings of fantasy robots. This is quite a rare photo. Can't see this online at all. This is when Craig Charles was in front of the house robots in Series 4, and then the back invertebrate getting torched in the second round of Series 4. So there we go. That's the ultimate house robot there. Check out Reactivated 5 for my ultimate house robot as we move on to your questions. Just before we do, let's go back to the bot bit on the screen behind me. You will see a zoomed in shot of a house robot, and the answer was the dog had a bone to pick with most in the arena. Of course, it's Growler. Congratulations if you did get that. We're going to move on to your questions very quickly. I think we have enough time for some. Angry Oliver 06, which tag team terror would you have liked to see? So for Angry Oliver 06, it's Hypnodisc and S3. It's funny actually, yes, because S3 did win our fantasy fight just before. So yes, Hypnodisc and S3. I was also thinking along the same lines, either 259 with a horizontal spinner, so you get the combination of vertical and horizontal. I like that. I also would have liked to have seen Plunderbird and Sacromalot together in the arena, like the Showman of Robot Wars, and also because for me the tag teams were very underwhelming. Throughout because they did there was a tag team during Series 4 in Extreme 1 and in Extreme 2, and they were just underwhelming. There was not really a team you could pick out, could you, to win. So yes, I would have liked to have seen two robots of the same weapon, slightly different versions. So like I said before, horizontal, vertical. So yes, Angry Oliver, I agree with you there. Samuel Lima, why are some of our robots different from the original robots in the show? For example, Splinter or Hefty. At the time, we just needed names, really, for the robots. We were certainly for the first series, because Splinter should have actually been called Mortis, our Splinter, because it had the lifter and the axe. But we just decided on Splinter. Do not ask why. But certainly for Hefty, for example, we couldn't really get the robot Hefty in the actual series was quite underwhelming. But we had a lot of foliage, should we say, in our Lego box, and we thought, there's a robot called Hefty, let's do that. So Hefty was born. And I know off the top of my head, our version of Onslaught, the Black Hammer, very heavy, top-heavy robot, nothing like the Onslaught on telly. Again, we were just looking for names at the time, so I can't really put an actual answer on that, I'm afraid. But thank you for your question. Next we have, bear with me, I've got some here. Noob, why was Series 1 of our series not uploaded for a long time? Simply put, Noob, we'd lost the original tapes. Series 1 was the only series we recorded on High 8 tape. Do you remember High 8 tape? It was between VHS-C and DV. And for a while we just couldn't convert them onto MP4 file until we got a converter not so long ago. So that's why Series 1 was actually lost for a while. Of course, we did a bit of clearing and re-editing, and they're now up on the channel. Thank you, Noob, for your question. Looking at the time, Mike Rowe Chip. That's very clever, from the website. As in Mike, the name, Rowe Chip. Thank you. Love your merchandise memories sections. They are incredibly nostalgic to me, but you keep ignoring the biggest merchandise range ever made, the pullbacks. Why have you never reviewed them? Okay, how about this then? The next batch of Reactivated episodes, we will start reviewing the pullback toys. And as you can see, I do have two on the table here with Killlot and Refbot. And as I review them, I'll let you know how I rate them in order. We'll start with the house robots, and then we'll go from there. So thank you, Michael Chip, for your question. There is the cease. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Please do like, share, subscribe, download, watch again, leave your comments and questions below, and we'll get to yours hopefully in the next episode. Thank you all so much for watching. Goodbye.